100,000 this year at least. Don't hold me to it, but that's our aspiration. Getting 100,000 out of the 4.5 million that he's talking about should be, but this will be relevant products. We are not selling it for the sake of selling it. People like me will get insurance at a very high premium because I'm a diabetic or chronic. But there are people who will get it at a much lower cost. So we want to do price for the right people. And that's why if you identify that you have a health problem earlier, your insurance premium will be much lower.
But what is your rating, sir? Typically, that insurance product, selling an insurance product is very tough job, even in the one-to-one interaction.
I used to be on the board of an insurance company. So number one, the most difficult one is selling a term life. Because in India, everybody expects a payback or a money back kind of a policy which LIC popularized. So a term insurance product in which you pay a premium and you get nothing in, that's the most difficult product. In my mind, that's the most important product for any consumer. In the most evolved nations, term life goes up the most. It's easier to sell ULIP, unit linked insurance plan, depends on the market. We are not in that business. We are not in the business to sell insurance for the sake of making commissions alone. So we are not going to be selling ULIP in a big way. Maybe at some point of time later on we'll do it, but not now. For us, the primary driver is going to be health insurance. In India, the health insurance market is very, very underpenetrated. Very underpenetrated. I mean, I remember around 20 years back when Medicare used to be a big policy from the public sector, general insurance companies. It's never taken off. So the penetration. So I think as Apollo, we would like to drive this agenda in a much more stronger way as we go along. So both today the products which are available are a combination of OPD and IPD, that is outpatient department as well as hospital administration. We would want to start off with these products and continuously innovate and bring more products so that it becomes easier. The most easiest to sell is motor insurance, etc., which are not in the business of. So we have to focus on term and health. Health as a primary focus.
What is the timeline for this 80 to 100 crore?
1 year, sir, 1 year.
This 1 lakh that you are talking about is the
number of customers who take a policy
in this current financial year.
in this financial year.
Of these, how many will be in health and how many will be in life?
I think predominantly health. 80% will be health, around 20% is life. Maybe next year the mix will change. But like I told you, we want to focus on health.
You said you have tied up with 8 companies, the release says 12. What exactly is the situation?
That is, so we started with 8, all the agreements, ensuring that the technology journeys is done for 8. The 12, we are in the process of finishing off some of the agreements. It will take some time for the tech to reflect in the app.
And then how many of these will be life and how many?
4 of them are pure health.
Standalone health.
Standalone health. Lombard, HDFC Ergo, some of them are general insurance companies which are doing health. Pure life is ICICI Prudential Life Insurance, HDFC Life, Tata AIA and Bandhan. These are the 4. And Aditya Birla.
5 life and 4 standalone health.
And a few of them GI, which is Lombard and Ergo.
You also have a TPA in your right?
Correct, but that's an independent business. TPA happens when a person needs to be claimed. We will use them as one of our outsourced entities. That is done with tied up with mostly with the hospitals. We are not playing any role on the TPA side of the business.
And then your company as such is a fully owned subsidiary of the Apollo Hospitals.
We have an external private equity investor who owns roughly around 16% of the equity, but predominantly owned by Apollo Hospitals.
But you are part of the Apollo Hospitals?
We are a part of, dominantly owned by Apollo Hospitals.
You've talked about how the expectation for Apollo 24/7 to break even is probably Q4 of FY26 has been there, and this business aiding to the growth in the future. As a standalone, what you've launched, insurance and credit card today, that particular segment, do you have a separate target of when do you expect that segment to break even? Or
No, this year we are unlike, like I told you, if I were to get into a pure insurance business, I would spend 2 years only investing and then trying to break even at the end of the 3rd year. We are doing this business in that's why our numbers are not very, very aggressive. 80 to 100 crore, we believe is reasonable given our huge reach and the build. And because it's predominantly digital, we want to drive digital supported by a call center and maybe a few people on the street who will help foreclosure. So we expect that we will not lose too much money and this will not be a drain on the overall. So when I say break even, I've included all this put together. So it's not on a standalone basis.
For you, this may be a kind of a diversification in the same line that you operate. But the fact of the matter is that lot is changing in the pharmacy business now. Lot of quick commerce kind of people are also getting into it.
Correct.
There are also other competitors for you. What exactly is the reason for you to get into this? Because it can also be
The insurance
solely
business?
focus of only on
No.
business.
So again, that's why I said I'm not selling insurance for the. If I was starting to sell motor insurance and others, ULIPs, etc., this is why. So for me, it's not a diversion. It is enhancing the proposition that I'm making to my customer, first and foremost. And that's why I said 80% of health. And say, by the way, when you're doing health, term also comes under a similar category of protecting your family even when you're not there. So when you're there, ensure that you're healthy, take health insurance. God forbid if something happens to you, your family should not suffer. That's our entire philosophy. We are not going out into the open market and trying to drive mass media and get customers. Our customers will primarily be focused on my existing base of 120 million people. 120 million people whose health records I have. These are the people that we. So I don't see it as a diversification. I see it as an intensification of my proposition of providing medical services assisted through an affordable mechanism called insurance. So I don't see it as a diversion, number one. Number two, quick commerce. Quick commerce, the stuff that they are selling today is a very low percentage of my total product mix, which is basically FMCG, nutrition supplements. As and when they get into healthcare, the same rigor which we practice as Apollo, whether it be a pharmacy, prescription validation, putting in the right kind of medicines. So let that play out. We will see how that market plays out. As we speak, a few of them have started doing some pilots. We have not been impacted in a big way. My bigger challenge is how does the digital grow, whether it be us, Tata 1mg, pharmacy, etc. How does this category grow at a much faster rate? People are still comfortable walking into a nearby pharmacy store and buying it. We would like to move that number. Around 10% of the total market is digital. That can go much bigger. We want digital apps, digital journeys to be built in such a way to what UPI has done for payments. What is it that we can do for healthcare? Healthcare today is a transactional product. We want to make it a holistic product by bringing in insurance and by bringing in ensuring that our best capabilities are there. And remember, all this I'm doing only through with my 7,000 odd doctors. We are not a practice opening up 200,000. So the underlying model of core trust for Apollo is our primary driver. So it's not a diversification, it's much more deepening into taking care of the health of the people who are associated.